Hola mi amigos, me llamo Jatin, soy de India, vivo en Canadá, esto es Spanish Tidbit.
The verb tratar gave me problems for way too long. It's used in so many seemingly unrelated different situations and has so many translations. But once I started using the three-part rule of thumb I'm gonna show you in this video, tratar rarely confused me again. Remember though, this is just a rule of thumb. It's a good guide as to how tratar is used. It's a good starting point. But out there in the real world, you will see tratar used in other ways too, and you'll see examples that contradict this rule of thumb. Okay, here it goes. The first part of the rule of thumb. At its most basic, just tratar usually means to treat, like to treat somebody or something a certain way, or to treat somebody or something medically. Jimmy treats Kimmy well could be Jimmy trata bien a Kimmy. This is how I first saw or heard tratar used, when it means to treat somebody or something a certain way. Then, the doctor treated the illness with medicine could be la médica trató la enfermedad con medicina. Trató is a preterite conjugation of tratar. So, tratar all alone usually means to treat somebody or something a certain way, or to treat them medically. Now, the second part of the rule of thumb. When tratar is followed by de and the infinitive form of a verb, it usually means to try, as in to attempt. So, Jimmy tried to buy chicken could be Jimmy trató de comprar pollo. Of course, there are other ways to say Jimmy tried to buy chicken, like Jimmy intentó comprar pollo. When said in the same context, Jimmy intentó comprar pollo and Jimmy trató de comprar pollo mean exactly the same thing. So, tratar de followed by an infinitive usually means to try, as in to attempt. This is very common, perhaps the most common use of tratar. Finally, the third part of the rule of thumb, and for me the weirdest. When tratar is used reflexively and followed by de, it usually means to be about or to have to do with or anything that means the same thing. So, the book is about Jack Nicholson could be translated as El libro se trata de Jack Nicholson, and El libro se trata de Jack Nicholson could be translated in English as the book is about Jack Nicholson. The book has to do with Jack Nicholson. The book talks about Jack Nicholson. The book deals with Jack Nicholson. And there are other possible translations too. So, tratarse de usually means to be about or to have to do with or anything like that. And obviously, there are tons of other ways to say the book is about Jack Nicholson. Which brings up a good point. Me personally, when I'm talking, I pretty much only use tratar as to treat. Then I say to try and to be about any other way, basically. But even if you decide to do the same thing, we have to be ready to see and hear tratar used in all three ways. Now, for the longest time, I didn't see a connection between all these different meanings. But then I realized in all three situations, we put our attention or effort on something. When we treat somebody nicely, we put positive attention or effort on them. When we treat somebody medically, we put medical attention or effort on them. When we try to buy chicken, we put our attention or effort on buying chicken. When a book is about Jack Nicholson, the attention or effort is put on Jack Nicholson. And if you look up tratar on wordreference.com and go over all the different translations, which I really suggest you do, link is below this video or in the description, to put attention or effort on really does cover all of them. So I guess that's what tratar means more generally, to put attention or effort on. Okay, let's go to some newspaper headlines. El cantante de Omega contó cómo fue su noche en una comisaría. Nos trataron bien, con mucho respeto. This means the singer of Omega told how his night in a police station went. They treated us well, with a lot of respect. There's a lot going on here, but all we care about now is the best translation of trataron, another preterite conjugation of tratar, is they treated. In this context, tratar means to treat. Here's another one. Ozonoterapia. el método para tratar el daño que deja el cáncer. Ozone therapy, the method for treating the damage that cancer leaves. Again, in this context, the best translation of tratar is to treat. Please note, I'm not a doctor, nor am I endorsing any specific medical procedures. Next example. Abogado de Britney Spears afirma que su padre, Jamie Spears, trata de extorsionarla. Lawyer of Britney Spears affirms or confirms that her father, Jamie Spears, is trying to extort her. Do you see how in this context, trata de means tries or is trying? That's really common to see tratar de used as to try. Let's keep going. This is a headline about Formula One racing. Cuando se trata de la vida o la muerte, no vale la pena. When it's about life or death, it's not worth it. Or we could also translate this as when it has to do with life or death, it's not worth it. Or when it deals with life or death, it's not worth it. There are probably other ways to translate this too. Do you see how in this context, se trata de means it's about, it has to do with, or it deals with? That's the gist of how tratar works. When it's all alone, tratar usually means to treat. When tratar de is followed by an infinitive, it usually means to try, and tratarse de usually means to be about or anything like that. Before we get to the last example, again, this is just a guide. Tratar is used in other ways too, and it's used in ways that contradict everything I just told you. The most important thing to remember is, in general, tratar can mean to treat, to try, or to be about, regardless of whether it's used reflexively or not, and regardless of whether it's followed by de or not. This last example doesn't go along with our rule of thumb. Esta película trata la exclusión social. This movie is about social exclusion, or this movie talks about social exclusion, or this movie addresses social exclusion, or this movie deals with social exclusion. So in this context, tratar alone, no se, no de, is being used basically how tratarse de is usually used. In this sentence, trata means is about, talks about, addresses, deals with, anything like that. You with me? Most of the time, tratar alone means to treat, tratar de means to try, and tratarse de means to be about or anything like that. But even when that's not the case, remembering that in general, tratar means to treat, to try, or to be about is very helpful. Just look at the context and determine what tratar most closely means. And remember, in general, all the different translations of tratar mean to put attention or effort on. If you like this Spanish tidbit, you can check out every Spanish tidbit I've ever made at SpanishDude.com/tidbits. And to make sure you don't miss out on any future Spanish tidbits, I suggest you head on over to SpanishDude.com/updates and sign up for some free updates. The next Spanish tidbit is related to this one. It's about intentar versus probar versus tratar. If you want to be notified when it's available, sign up for updates at SpanishDude.com/updates. And that is all for today. So until the next Spanish tidbit, my name is Jordan, and I love Spanish.